So thank you very much. Our next talk, the title actually has been changed. Chris Kim has changed his topic slightly to development of chemical attractants for adult Aedes aegypti, Culex quickofasciatus, and Anopheles minimus monitoring. So how basically to develop chemicals to attract these mosquitoes. Chris?
Good afternoon, everyone. How was the lunch? Is that okay? I know that after lunch always difficult to stay there. So, you know, when we have the meeting with the WHO, there is a time to dance all together, playing the music. So we make them all wake up. So why don't we just little stretch by the hand for 10 seconds? Okay, 10, 9, please. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Thank you. Is it better? Okay. Let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Chris Daeun Kim from Seoul, Korea. But I have stayed in Bangkok, Thailand for my PhD. And my supervisor here, Professor Chiang, he's always supporting all the students attending this kind of international conference. So I want to say thank you to him. And also thanks to the organizer, the community, and all the staff of this wonderful conference. Okay. The beauty of doing my PhD in Southeast Asia is having a lot of opportunity to working with the multinational project teams, such as the APMN, etc. So I had a chance to involve with one of the projects to comparing the mosquito trapping method, which is human landing catch, which is the gold standard, but it has the serious problem with infection. The collectors have in danger. So now they want to compare finding alternative way to collect the mosquito in safe way. So by discussing this kind of topic, my supervisor set up the team for my PhD to developing the chemical lures to attract the mosquitoes. So my co-supervisor, Dr. Mike, there is another Dr. Mike. He is my co-supervisor, and also he sent me one of the chemists from the Kasetsat University to providing my KU lure candidatures. So let me introduce my PhD study quickly. As you know, the female mosquitoes require the blood meal to produce eggs. So for that, for many millions, dozens years, they develop very well to detecting the kind of host cues, like as you can see the picture, the sensory organs on the antennae and carpets. So they detect the carbon dioxide and our body heat, and even our human or animals' odors, body smell. And they can also detect the movement and the color differences. High contrast also attract the mosquitoes. But the female mosquitoes not only using that kind of sensors to find the blood meal, but also males for mating and oviposition site for their productions, and also the flowers for getting nectar. But every single time, the females using different chemical reactions. By understanding this kind of our target insect behavior and biology, we can produce and set up the strategy to successfully management. So as you can see, there are many different types of traps in the market. So some of the products using the high contrast to attract the mosquitoes using the visual cues, and also this carbon dioxide. This is the gold standard, very highly attractive the mosquitoes, and UV LED lamp is one of the cue. However, in Thailand, we had to import all the products from overseas, means we have to pay tax expenses and consumes a lot of money. So my professor said, oh, why don't we test some tests in Kansas University, and then the benefit of testing in Kansas University is we can test the local species mosquitoes. So this is how I can start my journey for PhD. For that, basically I have to conduct the laboratory experiment using this device named of HITSS, short for High-throughput screening system. This is relevant for the person who working on the chemicals, especially for the repellent. But however, this device never tested for the attractant. So I tried to using this device to select the best candidates. So I got 6 different chemical lure candidates from my co-supervisor from the chemistry department. And also I tested our target product, which is the BG lure, and also the carbon dioxide. 3 different species mosquitoes were tested, and all the mosquitoes were reared in our lab. And blood feeding was conducted by membrane feeders. Okay, so as you can see the picture below, this is the HITSS device. I released the 20 female mosquitoes in the middle chamber, and there is the small door both sides. So I gave them 30 seconds to be acclimated, and then open up the door to giving them 10 minutes for choice study. After 10 minutes, I will close the door again and count the number of the mosquitoes from each drums. So I had to test with BG lure to set up the standard. For that, I optimized the amount to attract the mosquitoes. At the first stage, I start with the 10 gram of the BG lure 1 second, which is the product. But as you can see down there, it repelled mosquitoes because it was too strong. So I reduced the amount up to half, 5 grams, but it still repelled the mosquitoes. So I calculated to compare between different amounts of the lure. So PI value, which is a preference index, simply calculated by counting the number of attracted mosquitoes minus the number of mosquitoes repelled, divide the total number of mosquitoes repelled and attracted. So this last column is the PI value, the minus saying that the lure repelled the mosquitoes. However, positive value means attractive. As you can see, I had to repeat and again, trial and errors to get the positive value. And finally, when I reduced the amount up to 0.5, then finally attractive. So now we understand that the amount optimizing is important to testing the chemical lure candidatures using this HITSS assay. So now I tested our candidatures, 5 different candidatures, and follow the same method. As you can see, only 1 candidature shows positive reaction, but the other 4 showed negative. So I could select the best candidate. However, as we discussed before this presentation with Dr. Mike, it could be by chance, right? So I have to confirm it again with another species. So I put 2 more different species, Culex quinquefasciatus and also Anopheles minimus. But the trend was similar. The lure number 1 shows the best performance from the whole set of testing. However, it is because this Culex and Anopheles is different genre of the mosquitoes. They attracted slightly different lures. So we also need to consider about the specific species-specific lure. The most importantly, this is only the result from laboratory, and as you know, not always successful the laboratory result in real situation. So my supervisor recommended me to go to another place in the mountain, 200 kilometers away from Bangkok, to do the semi-field screenhouse assay. This is the screenhouse. This is 40 meters long, and inside there is the screen door, so we can divide the room for four small rooms, which is 10 meters each. And it has the double screen door for the entrance. It is very important to prevent the mosquitoes escaping from inside, and also the field mosquitoes go inside. So we can perfectly block the mosquitoes goes and out using this semi-field screen house. For this test, I collected the field population from Kanchanaburi province. And this is how I performed the experiment. In the 10-meter sized chamber, I put empty visit traps each side and 50 females released in the middle. For that, I tested busy lure and also our selected KU lure number 1 and carbon dioxide. Baseline was conducted with control, which means without lure. The result was very interesting. If I release the mosquitoes in the chamber without lure, within 12 hours, 90% of mosquitoes captured by busy trap evenly, both sides. However, I put the carbon dioxide on one side, obviously attracted more to the carbon dioxide having busy trap. This is very common sense. Okay, now let's talk about the busy lure. I put 10 grams of busy lure because the company directing that using the one circuit, the one device. And as you can see in the result, I couldn't see not significantly different number of mosquitoes attracted. So I reduced the amount up to 5 grams, but even the less amount repelled the mosquitoes. So we can see that this amount is too high, too much. It is equal to our heat test in the laboratory. So we know how to treat the amount. Okay, what about KU number 1? I applied 1 0.0 milliliter for the test, but it was repelled the mosquitoes. So I reduced to 0.5. Then I can see the attractant. So the number of mosquitoes was significantly more attractive to KU number 1 with 0.5. Finally, I compared this KU lure number 1 and busy lure in same chamber. As you can see, during 12 hours, the black dot is KU lure number 1 and white dot is busy lure. There was significantly different number of mosquitoes attracted to our KU number 1. Conclusions. This is the first study using heat to evaluating the chemical lure candidatures, and I optimized the amount of busy lure for this device and also the other 5 novel candidate compounds using it. And all the results was confirmed by the semi-field test screen house and comparing the busy lure and best KU lure candidates. But the study is keep going on, so I still need to test with different species of mosquitoes, which is Culex and Apelles. And finally, I have to bring it all to the outside in the field to see the real function. Okay. So want to say thank you to my funding sources, Thailand Research Fund TRF and Graduate School of Kasesa University, and also the National Institute of Health America, Milwaukee, for providing us the HITSS device. Thank you very much.
Yes, you did. Great job. Thank you. Our next speaker is to be Dr. Han, talking about dissecting melanization immune responses to mosquito vectors using multiple